92.7. 92.7. 92.7.
92.7. VHS FM.
Captain Adam's Happy Hour.
92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM.
Captain Adam's Happy Hour.
Yes. Ladles and jelly spoons. You've got your radio locked right here to WVHS FM 92.7. And welcome to Captain Adam's Happy Hour. I am Captain Adam. I'm sure we've all figured that part out. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you caught the last episode of the Happy Hour, wherein we discussed the Midnight movie series from MGM Home Video, quite possibly the most underrated VHS library of all time. That came out in the late 90s. So we discussed the history that that movie series had in a small lifespan. So definitely check that episode out. And speaking of checking things out, be sure to catch the brand new full-length adventure, The Eras of an Empire, a history of the VHS timeline that is now showing. And of course, that is all about, well, the history of VHS and all the innovations that came about from that. So that was a fun show, very interesting, very informative. Check it out if you haven't already. If you already have, check it out again. Why not? But today, very exciting show, as it usually is, but today's even more exciting because we have some new segments. Yes, I am going to be starting the Captain Adam's mailbag, where I'm going to be reading questions, well, some questions, not all of them, that are posed to me via Facebook Messenger through the Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship Facebook page. By the way, if you haven't giving me a like and a follow on Facebook, go ahead and do so. Lots of neat stuff there, lots of fun times, and that's what we all want in life. So yes, these if you got a question you want to ask me via Messenger through the Facebook thingy. And today I'm going to be reading some questions that were previously posed to me before we got the segments up and running. Every now and again I do have fans that are curious about certain things, and they ask me questions, and I am always happy to answer. But this time, I now have a public forum with this show, so that ought to be fun. Also, we're going to be starting up the VHS Riddler. Yes, every happy hour, I'm going to be asking a riddle that pertains to VHS, and it's up to you to figure out the answer and put it in the comments, and I will read the correct answer on the following episode. So that ought to be fun, some good old fan interaction there, so that's interesting. But before we break into all that, I'm going to tell you about the Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship VHS EXPO Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023, coming up Sunday, April 23rd in Hagerstown, Maryland at the Wilson Ruritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland, 21740 if you need all that information, of course. Yes, it's going to be vendors galore selling VHS, beta, laser disc, vinyl records, audio cassettes, CDs, DVDs, 8-tracks, comic books, retro video games, and all points in between, oddities and curiosities, food and fun times, live music, yes, performances by ATHAME, Black Metal Brilliance, and High Noon Kahuna, Heavy Honey Space Rock. Yes, a very eclectic live performance mix there. Both of their information, both of those bands' information are up on the event page on the Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook. By the way, if you haven't given me a like and a follow, go right ahead. That's Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook. You will find the event page there for more details. So I have their Bandcamp links up there if you want to give them a listen and give them a try. They are most excellent bands. I'm very happy to have them on board for this event. I really can't wait. So yeah, check out ATHAME and High Noon Kahuna. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're on Bandcamp. They should be on your mind, and they're going to be performing at the VHS EXPO Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023, Sunday, April 23rd in Hagerstown, Maryland at the Wilson Ruritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. So yes, be sure to give me a like on Facebook if you haven't already. The event page is up. Check it out for more information. It's going to be a great time. But now, on to Captain Adam's mailbag.
Mailbag!
Yes, time for some questions posed to me through the Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship Facebook page via Messenger. And by the way, I'm not going to be disclosing anyone's name. If it's your question, then you know who you are, and that'll have to be good enough. First question, Captain Adam, that's me. How many VHS tapes do you own? Well, that's a really good question. I did you can sort of get an idea of how many if you watch the Adventures in Alphabetizing series that I did this past summer where I organized all of my tapes. That sort of gives you an idea of how many I have. I know that's asking a lot because that is a 19-episode series. Yeah, that's quite a lot. But since then, and here we are in February, and that was, I guess, the tail end of July when the final episode was uploaded, maybe the beginning of August. But since then, a lot has changed. I have gotten a lot more VHS. So to really give you an accurate figure, I really can't do that. But a ballpark figure, probably around, I don't know, 2,000, a little shy of 2,000 maybe right now. So yeah, that's a lot of tapes. I have a problem. I'm not right in the head, but yes, thank you for asking. The answer is around 2,000. Oh God, sorry, I don't know if that was a hiccup or a burp or what. Either way, my diaphragm is rebelling against me, so good luck to its revolt. Viva la diaphragm. Anyways, yes, the short answer of that question is the ballpark figure of a little shy of 2,000. So yeah, I might have a problem, but there's worse things. I mean, I could be hooked on heroin. Instead, I'm hooked on VHS tapes. So, and that reminds me, you should be hooked on phonics because reading is fundamental. So yeah, definitely pick up a book and read one sometime. Even if it's a phone book, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're reading, you're exercising your ability to do so. Anyways, next question. Captain Adam, do you believe in mermaids? What? That's okay. That's a weird question, but you know what? It's a good question, and I'm going to answer it. Do I believe in mermaids? Well, no. And I'll tell you why. Mermaids or mermen or whatever, mer people, very fun concept. Of course, it's the stuff of legends. Lots of fine tales spun about mer people. But as far as like mer people go, the depiction of them isn't entirely accurate because, well, you always see mermaids with long flowing hair. And of course, that wouldn't be the case if they were an amphibious creature. They wouldn't have hair because that would slow you down in the water. And of course, if you're a species that lives underwater, then you're going to need stuff to streamline you whilst you swim in order to evade predators and or enemies and to capture prey. So hair is not the best choice to have if you're an underwater species. So no, I don't believe in mermaids, and more specifically, I don't believe in the depiction of mermaids, which are these beautiful people who have long flowing hair. It just wouldn't be that way. If there was such a species, they wouldn't have hair, and they certainly wouldn't have arms. They would have flippers, because that's more efficient in the water, and they would evolve to be, to have flippers instead of arms. So, I mean, if that's the case, then why not just have fish? I mean, I don't believe in mermaids. Last question. Last question here. Sorry, that really caught me off guard. Yeah, great question, I guess. Last question here, Captain Adam. What's the best way to ship VHS once you've sold them via eBay or Amazon? Great question, a very important question. To some of us, the answer is simple, but it seems like, in my experience with a lot of these sellers, the answer is not so simple and absolutely not clear on how to ship VHS properly. What you want to do is, of course, use media mail. That implies to anything media oriented, and it's the cheapest way to ship, even though the price is rising, but still cheaper than like first class. Just get like a small cardboard box, wrap it in some bubble tape, and just secure the package as best you can. Make sure the tape is supported, because do not trust any kind of shipping industry, the post office, UPS, whatever, to be careful with your package, because they most certainly are not. They will throw it around. They will stack it on top of stuff. They will put stuff on top of it. They will crush it if they have to. I'm sure they try to avoid it, but let me just say they don't try very hard. So if you're going to be shipping VHS, make sure it's secure. and supported by some kind of cardboard structure. You put it in a little small box, wrap it up with some bubble tape. Voila, that's really all you need. But some people, they just put it in a big manila envelope and just send it out to pasture. I've received many tapes that have absolutely no packaging support. And, luckily, a lot of them haven't shown up broken. But a few of them have. And, of course, you contact the seller immediately, take a picture of the damage, and then you tell them, hey, I want a refund, because if you're going to be selling a tape, you got to know how to do it. You just don't throw it in an envelope and just shoot it out there into space. Put it in a nice box, wrap it up in bubble tape it up good, make sure it's secure, because the post office, UPS, FedEx, whatever, they're not going to be as careful as they should be with your package. So that's how you do it. Thank you for the question. That's all for the mailbag. If you have a question, ask me on Facebook through Messenger at the Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship Facebook page, and I will most certainly answer it on the next episode. But now is now. And speaking of episodes, today's episode is going to be very exciting. We're going to be talking about the famous double tape sets. Yes, when a movie is too long to fit on one videotape, they put it on two videotapes, giving us the double tape set, a staple in the VHS landscape. But we're going to find out that there's more to that than the length of the movie. There's more reasons why people put certain films on double tapes than just the length of the film. And we're going to get into that. We're going to have our guest today, Miles Kennedy, a format specialist and engineer, who's going to be talking to us about why exactly movies are put on double tapes when they have to be. And apparently it has more to do than just the length of the film. So stay tuned to that. The beer review today is going to be fun. In the spirit of things, I'm going to be trying the, Double Dog Double IPA from Flying Dog Brewery. Yes, Double Dog Double IPA. So that is certainly going to be a very hefty beer. So yeah, definitely stick around. We got to take a station break right now, but stick around for VHS Talk, Music and Beer.
There's no part of that sentence I didn't like.
Yes, indeed. Should be a good time. Talking about double tape sets and double IPA, so it's going to be a great time. So keep your radio locked right here to WVHS FM 92.7 on Captain Adams Happy Hour. We'll be right back.
Captain Adams Happy Hour.
On 92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM. the Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023. Heavy Metal Swap Meet. Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Raritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. It's the swap meet that can't be beat with vendors galore. Selling VHS, Beta, Laserdisc, DVD, vinyl records, audio cassettes, 8-tracks, CDs, comics, retro games, oddities and curiosities, and all points in between. Salsa Mamas will be on site serving up superb Mexican cuisine. Plus, live music with performances by
ATHAME, black metal brilliance of doom and despair.
And
I knew KAHUNA,
monolithic heavy honey space rock. Also featuring filmmaker Brad Twig at Grim Liberation Studios. And meet Captain Adam in person, live and in living color. It's the Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet. Part Expo, part metal show, all awesome. All awesome. Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Raritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. Starts at noon, all day, all ages. Admission is only $5. It's the swap meet that can't be beat. It's the Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023. Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Raritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. Sponsored by Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship on YouTube. Subscribe. It's the Captain Adams VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023. Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Raritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. Be there.
Captain Adams Happy Hour.
On 92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM.
Captain Adams Happy Hour.
Yes, you've got your radio dial locked in precisely where it should be, right here on WVHS FM 92.7. And welcome back to Captain Adam's Happy Hour. I am Captain Adam, and we're getting ready to get on with the show. My producer tells me that I misspoke during the last segment and referred to bubble wrap as bubble tape. There's quite a difference, though I would suppose bubble tape would keep your tape secure, your VHS tape secure if you're shipping it. So, to clarify, wrap the tape in bubble wrap, put it in a nice little box, and send it into space. There's that. Well, before we get the show kicked off here and move on to our little topic, let's be presented with this episode's VHS Riddler. Earlier I said answer in the comments below, but don't do that. That just gives away the answer to everybody else, and that's no fun. So if you have the answer to the VHS Riddler, send it to me through Facebook via Messenger at Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook, so I can read it privately, and we're not cheating, or you're not giving away the answer to everybody. So yes, it's time for the VHS Riddler. Riddle me this. If you have 50 VHS tapes in your VHS collection, and 3 of them are double tape sets, how many movies do you have? Yes, send me the answer on Facebook through Messenger at Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook. So yes, if you have 50 VHS tapes in your collection, 3 of them are double tape sets, how many movies do you have? Send the answer to me through Facebook. That would be great. Thanks. So, on with the show. Today, we're talking about the double tape sets. A big part of the VHS world. There was plenty of them, that's for sure. It was a big brick of entertainment. You get 2 tapes. It wasn't for the price of 1. They were slightly more expensive than your average VHS, but that's to be expected. There's more material used. So, of course, the price is going to be slightly higher than a normal single VHS. That's not a surprise. Now, we associate them with the normal cardboard sleeve design, but through the history of VHS, and, as long as there have been double tape sets, there have been different packaging designs for them, not just the cardboard sleeve, but the Warner Home Video, the early Warner Home Video, the famous clamshells of theirs, they even implemented that design for a double tape set. And, I got to tell you, it looks a little bizarre because I'm so used to looking at the normal, the single tape Warner Home Video VHS in their clamshell. To see a double tape set in the clamshell is a little weird, and I'm not entirely sure if it is very aesthetically pleasing, but it is what it is. Of course, they had to do what they had to do. Now, a rather decent design when it came to packaging double tapes was CBS Fox Home Video. Their early releases, they use the slide box design, and as far as I know, no other distributor really used a slide box design. They didn't use it very long. Soon after, they went right to your normal cardboard sleeve. But learn all about that in the brand new adventure, Eras of an Empire, a history of the VHS timeline. That's my new adventure that's up now. So check that out. It talks about the history of VHS packaging. So we talk about the slide boxes quite a bit. But CBS Fox would use the slide box for a double tape set. Of course, they would use it for their release of The Sound of Music in 1983. And it's said that is the first double tape VHS set. So that's interesting. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but that's what the general consensus is. The 1983 CBS Fox Home Video VHS distribution of The Sound of Music, rumored to be the first double tape set. And of course, it didn't stop from there. Plenty of movies had to be put on double tape sets. Now, speaking of that, why does a movie have to be put on a double tape set? The conception is that, of course, the movie is too long to put on a single VHS, leading to the double tape set. But it turns out that's not necessarily the only reason. And to help us with this subject, we have joining us by phone Miles Kennedy, a format engineer and experts in all fields, formatting, if you will. So, yes, Miles, thank you you for joining the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Miles, when it comes to the double tape VHS sets, we all seem to have a preconceived notion that it all has to do with the length of the film that's on the tape, but it appears there's a little bit more to it than just that. Is that correct?
Well, that is the primary reason, yes, but this just happens to be a cause and effect kind of deal. The cause is, of course, the length of the film that is supposed to fit on the videotape. The effect is the quality you get from the recording speed you use. There are different speeds for VHS recording. As we may or may not know, it does seem to be a bit of a forgotten aspect to VHS. There are three different recording speeds. There is SP, or standard play, which will allow you to fit 2 hours worth of material, well, roughly 2 hours worth of material on a standard video tape. That is the best quality. Now, quality is the name of the game here, because most times when certain films are longer than 2 hours or around 2 hours, they will be put on 2 VHS sets, when knowing all the while they could actually fit on 1 VHS. But studios and distributors did not want to sacrifice quality by cramming it on 1 VHS tape, because when you do that, you change the recording speed from standard play to extended play or long play, LP or EP, and that sacrifices the quality of the film that you record.
Yeah, that's true. That is an aspect of VHS that many of us seem to have forgotten about if we've ever really fully grasped the concept at all. There are different speeds in which you can record movies upon VHS. Tell us about these recording speeds.
Certainly, there are 3 speeds in which VHS can be recorded with. There is SP, standard play, which is the standard default setting on any VHS recording. This will give you roughly 2 hours of recording space and the best quality of the picture. Then there is LP, long play, which will give you roughly 4 hours or a little bit more of recording space to work with. But there is a great sacrifice with the quality of the picture, which is why many films are never recorded with this setting. And then there is EP, extended play, which will give you roughly 6 hours of recording time. This was never used because the quality is even lesser than LP. So you get more room to work with, but less quality of the picture. This happens because when you change the recording speed, you are slowing down the tape itself. Slowing down the tape means you can fit more material upon it, but doing so, you lessen the quality of what you're recording, which is why standard play, or SP, is, of course, well, the standard.
You know, that's interesting, and I'm glad that we're talking about this because it really does all have to do with recording speed. Now, you know, back in the day when we'd all look for blank VHS tapes to record, you know, whatever, home improvement or you know, some tennis match you want to see, or you know, or just something stupid you want to record it off television, you'd have a choice of the tapes out there. You had a choice of how long they would be. You had like 2 hours, 4 hours, and then some of them were 6 hours. So back then we knew that, you know, we were capable of recording up to 6 hours on a VHS, but yet here there's movies that are about 3 hours long being released on 2 VHS. So that is the reason, is that yes, you can fit a long movie on 1 VHS, but it'll look like crap. So quality is the underlying reason for putting a movie on a double tape set. Is that right?
Yes, that is absolutely the case. The underlying reason is the quality of the film, but that has everything to do with the length of the film someone would be trying to put on VHS. So when you put more on a tape, you are lessening the quality, and most distributors and major studios would not want their film associated with poor quality VHS, which is why many longer films were released on double tape sets. It has much to do with the quality of the picture, the length of the film, and the presentation of the product as well, because it does make it look like it's even more epic than perhaps it might actually be. I'm not certain if you've ever seen the film Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner. That is a double tape set presented to be an epic film, but in reality it's incredibly boring and drawn out. If you're going to watch a film about Wyatt Earp, you might as well watch Tombstone. It's only on one VHS tape, and it's way, way better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. Wyatt Earp is a rather boring film. There's just a lot you got to get through to really get to anything that's really momentous in the film. I mean, you might as well watch Tombstone, way better movie. Bada bing. Let it be known that I'm a big Kevin Costner fan, so I'm not just being critical of Kevin Costner. I just think Wyatt Earp is not that good of a movie. Now, Miles, as VHS rolled on, the advancements in the technology, of course, evolved and got better. Would the tape speed, recording speed, be altered as well? Meaning that as the advancements of VHS came, the advancements in the recording speed come along as well. You could fit more on one tape without sacrificing quality. What would you say about that?
Yes, the advancements of VHS, of course, advanced the recording speed technology as well. Certainly with the implementation of digital processing for analog film upon magnetic tape, that really changed the landscape, meaning that you could now fit a longer film on one VHS recorded at SP speed without sacrificing quality, at least not all that much. There are films, if you've noticed, that are basically the same length. A good example would be 1492. That has a running time of 2 hours and 36 minutes. Compare that to a movie such as The Last Samurai, which has a running time of 2 hours and 34 minutes. The Last Samurai is on one cassette, whereas the 1492 VHS has to encompass two VHS, and it turns out there's not much reason for that, but at the time of its formatting, they had to do that to get the quality of the film.
You know something, that's very interesting that you bring up those two films, because I had relatively recently watched both of them. And when I watched 1492, of course, that's a double tape set. When I watched that, I watched the first tape one night, and then the next tape I was going to watch the second tape, finish off the film. The first tape, of course, was a little bit over an hour and a half, which is pretty standard for your double tape sets. So I pop in the second tape, expecting the same amount of time, but it turns out it was only like 45 minutes, and I'm like, okay, well, it's over. And then I watched The Last Samurai. Of course, that's a single VHS tape. And that movie was, it was 2.5 hours, a little over 2.5 hours. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't they just put, 1492 on one tape when obviously they could have? Well, it turns out, yes, they could have, but it would have looked like crap. And then the technology caught up with it. And, if that movie was released today on VHS, that's sort of a paradoxical, but, hypothetically, it would be put on one VHS. And it's very interesting. It's an interesting aspect of VHS. One, we don't really consider all that much. The recording speed has everything to do with the tape. And, it's another fascinating part of VHS that's a little bit forgotten about. And, I'm glad we're talking about it. It's an aspect that obviously distributors had to consider. They had to consider that at a time when now, of course, they don't really worry about it. And, DVDs, now, they're not infinite as far as the amount of information that could be crammed onto those. They're finite as well, because there are, some movies that do have to be put on to DVDs, which is sort of odd to think about that. But, DVDs, they're very finite. They're not this infinite vessel to cram a bunch of information on. So there's that. Well, Miles, we really appreciate you coming on the show today. We got to take a station break. I know you're a busy man. So, we hope to talk to you again soon.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And yes, it is very interesting to think about what could have been with VHS had DVD never come into play. The technology with VHS could have advanced beyond anything we could have imagined. So that is rather fascinating to think about.
Yes, alas, we'll never know. But it is, the concept of what if VHS was still around and DVD never happened, VHS was still the primary home media format. That whole concept is a little odd to think about and almost seems like an Isaac Asimov story. But anyways, Miles Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen, engineer and format specialist. We were happy to have him on the show. We got to take a break real quick, but stick around. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about double tape VHS, and then we're going to get to the beer review. So keep it locked right here to WVHS FM 92.7 on Captain Adams Happy Hour. We'll be right back.
Captain Adams Happy Hour on 92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM.
vomit parties. Happy Hour.
On 92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM.
Captain Adam's Happy Hour.
You've got your radio locked right here, WVHS FM 92.7. Welcome back to Captain Adam's Happy Hour. I am Captain Adam. We just heard A Realm Between Realms from ATHAME, and before that, we heard Sandstorm from High Noon Kahuna. Both of those bands will be performing live at Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023, coming up Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Rurtan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. That should be a good time. It's the show beyond reckoning. It's the swap meet that can't be beat. Yes, part expo, part metal show, all awesome. April 23rd, mark your calendars. Try to make your way down to Hagerstown, Maryland at the Wilson Rurtan Center, Wilson Rurtan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. The Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023. Yes, well, we've been talking about double tape sets here today. Where are you at on double tape sets? Do you like them, or are you sort of like me and you kind of don't like them because, well, you know what? They just don't look right. I mean, the concept is perfect the way they are. There's not really much else you could do. You can't do it any better than what they did, but I just don't like them because they're just a little off. Like when you put them up on your shelf with your other VHS, they just seem like they don't fit in very well because there is just like a slight centimeter. They're just a little bit more thick than the case is. That is, the sleeve is just a little bit more thick than your average VHS sleeve. Well, maybe it's not really, but it just seems like it is. There's just something not right about them. I don't particularly care for them. Mainly the films that are on double tape sets, I don't tend to really gravitate towards. There are some I love, like Braveheart, obviously, everybody likes that. 1492, that was a good movie. Let's see, Scarface, obviously. The Deer Hunter is a movie that I sort of have a love-hate relationship with. Very long film, obviously, it's on a double tape set, but very long film, and a lot of it just seems to drag on, like that wedding scene. What's going on there? We probably could have done without that, but you know what? It's an okay movie. I think the standard that people hold that movie to is a little high, meaning that I think people sort of put it on a pedestal and they just assume it's good. It's really, I mean, it's okay. Is it overrated? I'm not going to go that far. I mean, I just think it's okay. I don't think it's nearly as great as people make it out to be. And then there's some movies that are on double tape sets that I stay far away from. I have no interest in whatsoever. Like Titanic. Yes, the famous Titanic VHS, filling your thrift store shelves ever since VHS went belly up. Yeah, that's a very common thrift store find right alongside Jerry Maguire and Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 for that matter, and Batman Forever, stuff like that. Yeah, that's the double tape set I will not touch with a 10-foot pole. You know, it's just I have no reason to watch that film at all. So there's that. Let's see what else is out there. Of course, you know, we talked about The Sound of Music earlier. Another film that I saw once, and I was like, why am I watching this? It's just, I'm not the audience. You know, sometimes there's films out there that you're just not the audience for, so to critique them really wouldn't be very fair, so I'm not going to. But that is on a double tape set. But also, it also was on a single tape set. There is a cut-down version where it was just on a single tape set. Another VHS to do that, or another film to do that, rather, was Stephen King's It's. If you remember, now I totally forgot about this, but the first VHS release of that was a double tape set. And then the later VHS releases of it were a single tape set, a slimmed down version of the film put on single tape. So that's interesting when distributors do that to some of those movies. Not all of them, obviously. I've never seen a single taped Scarface. I don't think that exists. You can't do that to The Godfather. That's another one you find a lot in thrift stores. The Godfather. That's a great movie, but again, it's like, I've seen it once, and that's That's about it. I don't really like long films. Let me just state that. I don't like long films. My ideal movie is about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. Now that's, the average nowadays is around 2 hours for these epic films. And, I just don't like those movies that last that long. And not all movies that were put on double tape sets were theatrical releases. There were some TV movies that were put on double tape sets. Well, it was a TV movie. A lot of people forget that. So that's one of them. But also Gulliver's Travels with Ted Danson. You guys remember that movie? That was an NBC television movie. They put it on VHS, a double tape set. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. It is really good. It doesn't seem like it's a TV movie. Sometimes we watch TV movies, you can certainly tell, but sometimes, you really can't tell, and they're actually really good. There is a stigma surrounding television movies, or made-for-TV movies, rather, that they're bad, but they're not. In my experience, most of them are very good. A good example of that is Beastmaster 3, which was a made-for-TV movie, and it is actually pretty good. Way better than the second Beastmaster movie, I should say. Beastmaster 2, I think, the one where he travels through time, or what was it, like a dimension, and he comes to like modern day Earth. And you know what? When you do that kind of stuff, to me that's just silly. And you're already toeing the line with believability to begin with. So let's just keep it a fantasy film and not bring it to modern day Earth. If you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. Thanks. So yeah, TV movies not always that bad. Definitely check out Gulliver's Travels. That is one that I found in thrift stores sort of frequently, but not very frequently. But yeah, it's definitely there. And you can find it on eBay for very cheap. So if you haven't checked it out, you definitely check out Gulliver's Travels with Ted Danson. And speaking of movies that if you haven't seen, check them out immediately. And another double tape set is JFK with Kevin Costner. If you haven't seen that movie, it's amazing. Check it out. Go out of your way and watch it immediately. The star power in that alone is worth the price of admission. You got Kevin Costner, John Candy's in it, Joe Pesci, Tommy Lee Jones, Kevin Bacon. It's just, there's a lot of people in it, and it's a double tape set. So it's a fascinating movie, Oliver Stone movie. It's just really good stuff. And that's another one I find rather frequently in thrift stores, so you probably will as well. So definitely pick it up if you see it. So it's a really good movie. And taking it back to movies that were originally released on double tape sets, then re-released on single tape sets, another movie is Malcolm X. The original VHS release of that was a double tape set. Malcolm X, of course, the Denzel Washington movie. Another pretty good movie. If you haven't watched it, check it out. But then it was re-released later on a single VHS, so it's a slimmed down version of the film. So again, it's just interesting when distributors do that. So that's neat. Now, before we were discussing the first double tape set, which again we're bringing it back to The Sound of Music, but I wanted to know what the last double tape VHS was, and all my research finds out that it's all of my findings, I should say, it says that it's the Return of the King, the special edition Return of the King VHS, the Lord of the Rings movie, of course, the Peter Jackson films. You might have heard of them. They were just these small little movies, right? Are you kidding? These things were everywhere. As soon as news dropped that they were releasing special editions of those films on VHS, people just went bonkers, myself included. I was a big fan of those films, and I originally bought The Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, on the double tape set, but I never bothered with The Two Towers or Return of the King until recently. I looked them up on eBay, and I was pretty surprised. Well, not that surprised that the prices they go for, they're actually pretty hard to find too. I was able to find Two Towers and Return of the King, both of them still sealed, for about $45. So, maybe that's a little high, but they're rather hard to find today. But anyway, Return of the King, released in 2004 on the special edition VHS double tape set. That appears to be the last movie that was on a double VHS. I can't find anything else that tells me otherwise. But if you know differently, let me know in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear stuff about VHS. And as far as finding double tape sets in thrift stores, usually, and pretty much all the time, they charge you for one tape. Say if they're selling them for 50 cents or $1, you pick up a copy of Scarface, which is technically two VHS, should be $2, but they just charge you $1 because, well, I think they just really don't care. And they just really want to get rid of it. So if you happen to work at a thrift store or a used bookstore or any place that deals with used VHS that you sell for very cheap, let me know, how do you price them? Do you charge them for one tape or two? Because hey, it is two tapes, but again, you're probably just trying to get rid of them, and I really don't blame you. So and you just want to charge a cheap price to get them out the door. I don't blame you. Just get them out of their sight. You know what I mean? It's so yeah, that's interesting. I've always wondered, why don't they charge for two tapes? But they probably just don't care, and I'm happy for that. Because one VHS is as good as two, I guess. I don't know, but anyways, so yeah, double tape sets. Where are you at on those? Let me know in the comments below. Do you have a favorite movie that's on double tape VHS? Do you like them as part of your collection? Do they throw your shelves off? Do they make your other stuff look weird compared to them? Or what's your opinion on double tape VHS? You know mine. Let me know yours in the comments below. But let's move on here. And of course, it's time to get into what makes this hour so happy. It's time to get into the beer review coming up right now. And I've had this bottle opened and breathing heavily for a good time here. And I've been sipping on it through the last musical rock block. And it's let's just get into it here. I'm reviewing today Flying Dog Brewery's Double IPA. Yes, Flying Dog Brewery's Double IPA. So you know right away what I'm in for, and there's no pretense here. It tells you immediately that you're going to be drinking a very heavy, hefty, hearty beer, and that's exactly what this is. Very heavy, 12.7% alcohol volume. Wow. So yeah, one of these will do the trick for you, and this one is definitely starting to work on me pretty good. Double IPA. I mean, when something's a double IPA, you take a single IPA and you stack another one on top of it. That's a double IPA. So I mean, the name gives it away what this is. There's no beating around the bush. It tells you, immediately, hey, this is going to be a heavy beer. If you don't like heavy beers, don't drink this. So they're very fair on the name. Flying Dog Brewery. I've done their products before on the show. I reviewed their beer, the Snake Dog, which I'm a big fan of. And I am a big fan of Flying Dog products in general. Flying Dog Brewing out of Frederick, Maryland. Little independent brewer, one of the top in the country, actually. Very good stuff. This Double IPA, it is what it says it is. I wanted to try this today in the spirit of things. Since I'm talking about double VHS tapes, I'm going to be drinking double IPA. So that's why we're doing this here. And something, I've got to get the hiccups from it. Oh, God. There goes that damn diaphragm revolt again. Viva la diaphragm! So anyways, excuse me for that, but yeah, there's a lot of hiccuping involved. This beer, I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of heavy beers. You're asking, well, why did you try it? Again, I wanted to do a double IPA for the spirit of the show. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not my thing. If you are a person who likes really hefty beer, you will enjoy this. This is not a bad beer. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. Let's keep that in mind. Just because you don't like something does not mean it's bad. It just means you don't like it. It's not your flavor. This is certainly not for me. I do not like beers like this. The taste is tremendously robust. I mean, double IPA for sure. This is hoppy as all hell. This is hop hell is what this is, or hop heaven, depending on how you look at it, because it is, I mean, there is definitely a strong taste. Now, I'm not going to say it's tasty, but if you like this, then it definitely will be tasty to you. But me, I just don't like beers like this. To be honest with you, I'm sort of like choking this down because I do want to drink at least one full bottle. So I am having a hard time with this. It's not for me. I don't like it, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Like I said, it is. It is good. It's very well crafted. If you like beers like this, you will love Double Dog Double IPA from Flying Dog Brewery. So, yeah, it's just not for me. I just don't like it. And I do like hoppy beers, but this is just it's a bridge too far. It's way too hoppy, way too strong, and it's just, oh my goodness. But again, if you like it, you're gonna love this definitely. So yeah, check it out if you're into heavy beers. Flying Dog Brewing's brewery, Flying Dog Brewery's Double Dog Double IPA. So check it out if you're into big, rich, hearty, bold beers, because that's what this is. Well, anyway, we got to wrap things up here. We're approaching the end of our time together. I hope you enjoyed listening to the show. It's always fun talking to you about VHS. It really is. So yeah, today we were talking about double tape sets. I had a double IPA beer. It was a good time. Hopefully this episode had you seen double. Sorry, it's bad joke. I had to do it. I always got to throw in a nice little pun there, I guess. But it's all for entertainment. That's what we're here for, to be entertained. That's why you watch this show. That's why you watch this channel. That's why you listen, to be entertained, to be enthralled, to be educated, to be informed, and probably because you've got nothing better to do. But that's okay. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate all your support. Be sure to give me a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. And check out Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook. Lots of fun stuff there. Lots of neat VHS information and VHS fun times, and just all kinds of fun stuff there. Also check out Rob's Vintage Video on Facebook and Arson Brothers Entertainment. Check them out on Facebook as well. And Dad Meant It Geek Den, that's a fun page. Lots of VHS related material for all these pages. VHS related material, film-based memes, and all kinds of comedic fun stuff going on there. And, of course, check out Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship on Facebook for the event page for Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023. The event page is up. Give that a check out for more details. And be sure to check out ATHAME and KAHUNA. They're all, excuse me. Man, that damn beer. Viva la diaphragm. But yes, anyway, check out ATHAME and KAHUNA. They're all over the place on the internet. Lots of material out there for them, so you can do your research to see, how awesome they are. And trust me, they're awesome. Looking forward to seeing them coming up at Captain Adam's VHS Pirate Ship VHS Expo Heavy Metal Swap Meet 2023, coming up Sunday, April 23rd at the Wilson Ruritan Center, 16204 National Pike, Hagerstown, Maryland. Well, we're out of time here. We got to get going. So it was nice talking to you about VHS today. So keep your radio locked right here to WVHS FM 92.7, and give me a like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time, me hearties. Take care out there. Bye-bye.
Captain Adam's Happy Hour
On 92.7 WVHS FM. WVHS FM.
Captain Adam's Happy Hour.